Hello everybody and welcome to my review of Expeditions Rome. Expeditions Rome is the third game in the Expedition series and hit the proverbial shelves on January 20th, 2022. In a nutshell, Expeditions Rome is a turn-based strategy CRPG, putting you in the middle of history during the period of the late Roman Republic, so in the 1st century BCE. At this point in time, I have played the game for over 19 hours on stream, and I'm planning on finishing the game on stream as well. And in short, I highly recommend the game. So, you can just stop the video here if you want to and go buy the game. There's a link down in the description below if you'd like to buy the game and support the channel with your purchase. But if you're here for more information, stick around. Let's start at the beginning though. The game begins with a brief intro scene, and then you're just thrust right into the character creation. And while historically not accurate, the game actually lets you play either as a woman or as a man. You can customize things like face, hair, skin and hair color, and choose your profile pic. The profile picture is almost the most important thing about the character customization, I'd say, since it'll be displayed on screen whenever you're having a conversation with another character. And you will have a lot of conversations with other characters. I personally chose a female character to play during my stream, and I love the fact that the game world actually reacts to this. Often in conversations with people, they will bring up that they're not used to seeing a woman in soldier garb. And as a male, these conversation portions obviously never pop up. But I just love the fact that you get sort of replayability by just choosing another character like this. It's a really neat addition, and it's something that pops up in the game a lot anyways, that your choices actually matter and they will influence the story later on. First of all, let's continue with character customization. The most important thing about character customization is the choice of your perk. Basically, you can choose between logos, aka logic, pathos, so more like, arousing speeches, very Roman politician-like, and ethos, so like ethics. This is important, but every once in a while you get a decision or an answer that is based on one of the drives, and depending on whether or not you picked that drive or perk, the answer will be available to you or not. There are options to learn another perk during gameplay, but I haven't made it to that part yet. Maybe I skipped that part, who knows? But there are options to get more later on throughout the game. After character customization, the game doesn't mess about and throws you immediately into the combat tutorial, which is just standard isometric turn-based combat. And you might be wondering, but hey, wait, I haven't chosen my class yet. There are 4 classes that you get to choose from. Melee DPS, a melee tanking, ranged DPS, of course, and then support, aka healing. But you do that after you have played all the character classes, which is kind of cool. The combat tutorial is, as I said, pretty standard. The combat is pretty standard. You've got things like line of sight, height gives you ranged advantage. There are attacks of opportunity. There is a no hit percentage chance like in XCOM. So if you, for example, try to hit somebody with your sword, you will hit them. There's no chance that you won't hit them. There is a slight hit chance with ranged, but that mostly just depends on whether or not there's somebody standing next to or in front of that person. So your chance is basically just, will I actually hit this person? Or if that person has a shield, there is a chance whether or not you just do shield, which is sort of a different form of armor damage to them, or will you actually do damage to their AP? But you will hit. It's not like in XCOM where it's a 99% shot and you still miss and it just goes off into nowhere. Combat is, as I said, pretty standard. There is no real initiative. You get to choose the order in which your units move. Turns consist of movement and attack moves with a couple of modifiers, which the tutorial tells you about. For example, if you hit an unarmed hostile person and you kill them, you restore your attack move and you can attack another person. It's just one of the specifics of this game, which makes combat a little bit more tactical, which is really nice. After all of your characters have gone, friendlies will go then, if there are any, and then enemies will have their turn. So it's like, I guess there's group initiative, but it's always set. You always go first. And then friendlies, and then enemies. So it's not like initiative is a stat that you have to spec into or anything like that. I'll not spoil any story in this review except for the intro, because the story is good and the writing in this game is really good, and I don't want to deprive you of that, and I don't want to spoil the story. And since it's a CRPG, besides the combat, the story is kind of really the most important thing. So instead of like talking more about the story and how I like it, or, you know, spoil things about it, because I do really like the story, I will now focus on the very, 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 very few things that I don't like. In essence, there are really only 3 things, and one of them I think is a bug that might hopefully or will hopefully get fixed in the future. Let's talk about the bug first. So basically the bug has to do with the trading tutorial and how trading actually works. The tutorial basically explains that an up arrow means that a resource is available in abundance and thus cheap, while a down arrow means the opposite. In the actual trading menu though, it's the other way around. So an up arrow means that this resource is scarce and thus more expensive, while a down arrow means this resource is abundant and the price lower because of it. Both systems work, they just used to be a cohesiveness between the tutorial and the actual trading. The next thing that should be added, in my opinion at least, would be an undo button for movement. Because if you have moved a character, there is no undo button. Like, movement is final. And I have misclicked my movements a whole bunch of times. Or I have a cat. The cat has moved characters in this game before as well. And then I just had to deal with it. And basically I just lost out on that turn entirely because that person was just somewhere off to the sides where I didn't want them to be. Which is not great. You could potentially make the argument that an undo button that lets you undo movement, an attack of opportunity that you incurred because of like movement that you made, being able to undo that attack of opportunity is cheating in a way, or like gaming the system or whatever. But honestly, for me, incurring an attack of opportunity has been mostly calculated unless I misclicked movement. It's more frustrating to deal with movement that you can't undo than, you know, maybe reversing an attack of opportunity that you forgot about, I think, in my opinion at least. The other thing that I'd love to maybe see tweaked is camera movement. Camera movement is like fine. Like there's no problem with the camera movement. You have two different options. You can either follow your character or you can move the camera around freely. But there's one thing when you move the camera freely that I don't like. It is that the camera height, you can zoom in and out, but max camera height is still pretty low. And camera height is tied to terrain height. So if you have a very vertical map with lots of ups and downs, which you do because, you know, at the start of the game, you're in a region that, you know, there's mountains and whatnot. Let's leave it at that. As I said, I'm not going to spoil it. And there's very vertical maps, like really, truly vertical maps. And the camera will basically just bounce around, just go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down if you're moving through it and you're trying to find a location. And it's just kind of distracting and annoying, especially if you're looking for a spot or something on the map and the camera just goes up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So I don't think I hope it wouldn't be too difficult to just not tie camera height to terrain height, and then you just get a better overview, because I found myself being just a little bit too zoomed in for, you know, the whole bouncing around thing. But that's mostly personal preference, and it's not really a big deal anyways. Like, none of the things that I've mentioned are, like, big red flags or anything like that. That makes me go, oh no, don't buy this game, it's bad. All in all, as I said, I still very, very highly recommend the game if you like CRPGs with a good story, with, you know, satisfying combat. Highly recommend the game. Go check it out. Put it on your wish list if you're waiting for a sale. If you'd like to purchase it and support the channel, as I said, there is a link down in the description below. A cut of that does go to me and supports the channel. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Take care and bye-bye.